Welcome back. Long overdue. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Episode 42. Cherie, Dr. Bunchy, me. What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling good. How you feeling, good brother?
Exhausted, tired, uh, all the other things. How about you, Cherie?
Just living. Got a new job I'm starting, trying to move, just guess trying to transition into a new part of my life. And yeah, but overall, feeling pretty good.
Word.
Um, yeah, but I guess we want to welcome you all. This is the return. I know we took a break to Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win. We're here at the home of Black Liberation Media Network. Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win is a show that is grounded in ideological clarity and analysis of grassroots struggle. We know that all of y'all are politicized, but if you could please share the link with someone that you know or love that you are looking to radicalize or give more analysis to our politics. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's up, man? I know we wanted to have a conversation around some things around Black history, and maybe all of us have some uh, things that we're thinking about, maybe reading, a common theme that's showing up. So, anybody
Yeah.
get us started with what they coming with today?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know this episode, yeah, is supposed to focus on just different things that connect to us, and it does. For me, I have a subject that I guess it kind of connects to Black History Month, but more so connects to me personally and Black History Month. But I mean, I guess we could start it out with me, or did any of you guys want to go before me, or
Take it away.
um, yeah. I guess I'll start. So I kind of wanted to talk about this new documentary that's on Netflix about the series by Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model. Um, and I think I watched the whole series, and it's been having a lot of different, topics. I think it definitely, it puts a lot in hindsight as far as like the early 2000s, and I guess you can imagine what existed before then as far as the way we view beauty and Black beauty, desirability politics. And that show really showcased, I guess, a lot of anti-Blackness, a lot of fat phobia, even homophobia in a lot of ways. So I definitely wanted to touch on that. I have a few clips too in my notes, but I think overall, I think it's interesting to me as somebody that was, once trying to be a part of the modeling industry, especially around that time. Like I really was getting into the modeling industry. Um, and yeah, like it's just weird that I was watching that and I found some things problematic, but then other stuff was just like kind of the norm. So I think me being in the entertainment industry, and then specifically when I was a teenager really trying to be in the modeling industry, and then thinking about that show and just all the different things, because it's not even just beauty. I mean, a whole rape happened on the show, and nobody even really recognized it as rape at the time. We just saw it as like a girl cheated on her boyfriend. But it's like now we realize, more knowledge, like, wow, that was really rape. And we were just calling this girl a slut that cheated on her boyfriend. So yeah, just I think a lot of those things, I think, especially when you think about a figure like Tyra Banks, who, like a lot of people, have this kind of process of, I'm going to change an already historically racist system, or just a historically horrible system overall, that I'm going to go in and change, and have this kind of mindset that that's what I'm going to do. And then throughout it, you just end up having to assimilate to the system, and I think I think when we think about a lot of things, like that same thing always happens. I feel like in history, a lot of times people will take these historically racist colonized systems and be like, oh, we're going to have a little bit of that, or we're going to, change it, or we're going to do it from a radical or liberal approach or whatever. And it's just going to be new and better. But it ends up, you end up just repeating the same system or same hierarchy. So I thought that was something else that was interesting. But we can go ahead, I guess, because I'll touch on that aspect first, and I guess I'll share a little bit of my experiences in the industry and tie it into like other things with the show. The clip that I wanted to share or play first was the second one, the second link, where you have Tyra Banks talking about how she was going to change the industry, and it kind of showcases itself how like she did it, So
is it Tyra Accountability? Is that the one?
No, the one before that.
Okay, so there's 3 links, and you're talking about the one in the middle?
Yes, the second one.
Okay. Let me see how I do this. And so this is from the Netflix joint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Represent, not all white, not all skinny, but just showing all the differences and all the different types of beauties. I had a feeling that I was going to change the beauty world. This was my way to get back. I would love to change the rules, but until that happens, I think it's all about choices, Kenya. You can get a burger and take the bread off. I make it work when I have to. Thank you for this show to represent.
Oh, yeah. So like in that clip, it's like she talks about how she wanted to change the beauty. You see her talking about a very normal sized person, and like the whole narrative of that entire girl's experience was that she was too fat. And she literally was like, and you look at her, she's literally like a regular size, but she literally had to go through, a lot of mental unpacking and trauma, because the entire season she was picked on for her size and told she's bloated, or told, she needs to lose weight. Even in that clip, Tyra's like, take the bread off the burger, and like make it work. But it's like the draft conscious, like, I'm gonna open this up for everybody and make everybody feel beautiful. And I think that's the whole narrative of, to me, Black History Month. A lot of times I feel like it's all about the first to do this, the first big, person to be a top model that's Black, the first Black person to win this award, the first, like, that's literally like this culture that we've created, I feel like, or that we've assimilated too, I feel like, in a Black History Month, being about these people that, are changing these systems just by like being a part of them, or just by being a Black face that is a part of them. And that's what Tyra Banks was for me for a long time. It was like, that, like, literally knowing who Tyra Banks was made me want to be a model. I was like, she's a Black woman. I saw her in that Life Size movie, and I just thought she was the most beautiful woman. She was like a Black Barbie doll. Me with the bigger forehead, I always just was like, okay, I want to be like Tyra Banks. Like, she's beautiful, and she has a big forehead and all these things. And so I really fed into that a lot when I was younger. But yeah, I just was thinking about like that whole myth of Black History Month, of like these Black people getting into these industries and, that are historically racist and, are oppressive, and then having like a space in these industries, and then being like, okay, they're changing it because they're the first this, or even with Halle Berry, or like winning the first Oscar or whatever. I remember like crying seeing her win the first Oscar, and like her whole thing was she's opening the door, she's breaking the way for like, more Black women to win this award, and no Black woman has really won that award since. And even since then, you've had like the roles of Black women, the overall representation in Hollywood has still not been as great. Even with Tiana Taylor winning awards and being the Black person that's winning awards, she's winning it for like the same over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized type of role. I mean, and then when you think of Hollywood altogether, it is historically, meant to turn people away from the very things that will liberate them. So the whole idea of, even a fashion industry or anything, and like a Black person taking up space in these industries, being this big change, I think was the whole motif of America's Next Top Model, that, and everybody's now like, oh, Tyra, take accountability, and yeah, she's not really taking accountability in this documentary, but overall, sorry, I'm just looking at, I'm like, dang, okay, but I'm just looking at your faces, but yeah, she's not really taking any accountability in this industry for like any of the harm that she put out. In this the series had 23 seasons and was on the air for like multiple years. And yeah, just the further it got, and there was a lot of stuff from fat shaming, putting these girls in horrible positions where they'd be in pools that are like freezing and stuff, doing photo shoots. A girl almost got hypothermia. Girls were passing out behind the scene. One even passed out in an episode from eating disorder. They would do horrible like photo shoot ideas. Like one was about one photo shoot they did blackface. They did that 3 times, where they had models take up a different race and then do a photo shoot about it. They did another photo shoot of homelessness, where it's like, we're gonna be homeless, but so just it's horrible exploiting things. But yeah, I mean, I can go on, but I guess you guys can kind of give your thoughts on it.
So yeah, I think, and I'm also curious to hear Yusuf thoughts in general, but then respond to this. Like, so the beauty world or industry or whatever that is, it's like, it in itself is a Western European concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when Black people have to even reactively say Black is beautiful, it would have to be responding to European aesthetics as the epitome of beauty, or the foundation of a beauty industry. Even the concept of Hollywood, like all these things are European creations that have a particular function. And so when somebody says that they're gonna go into the Christian synagogue and make Christians be more open to Black expressions, is still in the container of whatever is created. And then again, I'm even curious, and I want Yusuf to go first, but after he's finished, I would be curious about what exactly is somebody asking her to be accountable for? Because I'm confused, because I guess essentially she takes the responsibility for chasing the American dream and trying to darken white beauty or white concepts of beauty, and making Black girls believe in the thing. Like, even as you said, like, you thought that she was beautiful, but you can't think she's beautiful unless somebody put her on screen and say she's the most beautiful thing. Like, you assume herself. But go ahead, Yusuf, if you.
Well, let me answer this. People are saying she's not accountable because she's not fully taken the thought of, like, yeah, I mean, a part of it is like selling these girls a dream, because the whole thing was, massive exploitation these girls were going through, but it was all in the guise of like, but you'll get this grand prize and you'll get this dream. And then most of them, the vast majority of the people that even won the contest, it did not help them have a career in modeling at all. And for some, they say it hurt them. There's even one girl, beautiful Black girl, she got her teeth, she had a gap, and they were saying in order for her to stay on the show, she had to close her gap, and she did it. And she won. And yeah, she didn't. I have a clip too that kind of shows that too. But yeah, she closed the gap, everything, and they didn't really have the most professional dinners. This was just and the thing was done like within a few days, because it's the middle of a contest, so it's done within a few days. Goes through all this stuff, and yeah, I mean, essentially everybody's just kind of like, most of the judges, for just kind of like the mental abuse that they put on the girls, and just like kind of taking accountability for that. But overall, like, and then I guess with Tyra, it's the worst because of the fact that she was saying she was going to do a particular thing. But and then even throughout that, she still likes to say, well, I still, I did better than, or I was less mean than anybody else, and I still open doors, but it's like, no, you like you still ended up, you know, conceded because that's the way it works. But at the end of the day, it's like she still kind of has this thing of like she did a great thing for people. When it's like, yeah, there are a few people that had success from the show, but overall, like you didn't, you know, do the thing that you were saying, you know. But I mean, that is a thing that is impossible to do in a system like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious kind of what Geechee is going, but naming it, like you already kind of done it, add a critique. And actually, I commend you on like immersing yourself, not in the critique, but like the being captured into what you thought was beauty, as seeing a Black woman at that stature, and what it represented to you in terms of the negative stereotypes that go with Black beauty, Black women, etc. So as Geechee, in your response, I was thinking like if neocolonialism is a thing, can it be represented by individuals? And I think this is what you're getting at with Tyra Banks as modeling neocolonialism through a thing as a phenomenon. And can you add more political context to it, which the reason why you chose this subject matter, in particular, deeper into Black history, which again you kind of like, surface level got on about. I would love for you just to hear your complete analysis around it.
Yeah, because I just think, like I said, and I kind of, touched on it earlier, but I think it feeds into this whole narrative that mainstream Black History Month is. I mean, I like to take the time to focus more on the radical Black history and the everyday Black people, because so much of it is rooted in the myth of Black excellence. But the whole idea of Black history rooted in Black excellence is these people going into these historically European, colonial, imperial industries, from Hollywood to the modeling industry, the fashion industry, the beauty industry, to stock market, and being like the first, and like this whole idea of like these people are changing the actual industries themselves, or the structures themselves, or something, by just being a part of them. And I mean, it's multiple spectrums. Some of it is just, okay, they're the first, and because they're the first, now that means a thing of significance, that we know that doesn't. And then sometimes it is, with Hollywood, with the fashion industry, with all these things of like, I'm going to open the door for others that look like me to come, and but it's still this whole idea of like a talented tenth that it goes back into. And then it's still this whole idea of you're not going to be.
Can I cut you off for a minute, because you dropping some nuggets?
Okay.
So you like the talented tenth, and at the end, as you open up, you talk about Black exceptionalism. Can you tie those two together again from a political standpoint? What is wrong with the talented tenth? It's kind of what you're implying.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, obviously, Du Bois was doing the talented tenth, or talking about the talented tenth towards, later in his life. He realized that that's not going to get us anywhere. That, having an elite class of Black people does nothing for the mass collective. It just keeps everybody kind of with the Horatio Alger myth, like, feeling like they need to defend and protect these people, and that they shouldn't really fight for their everyday lives and fairness in their everyday lives. They're supposed to aspire to, win a reality show like America's Next Top Model to get out of their circumstance. And that was another element of this show, is a lot of these people on the women on the show, they were, everyday people that worked in like a store, or one girl's worked at a Walmart. And so her whole thing, and they would even say that to her, like, girl, do you want to go back to Walmart? And then Tyra even said to one girl that she historic, like, it was like this big thing, this big clip where she was like yelling at this girl, we're rooting for you, we're all rooting for you. She was yelling at a Black girl, and she was yelling at this girl because she was saying, she told the girl in there, like, you're gonna go back to your grandma's house sleeping on a mattress, because the whole thing was she was the rowdy, or looked at as like the hood girl or whatever, and she got in a fight or something one season, and then they gave her like conflict mediation or something, or after that, and brought her back. And so and then she still got eliminated just because the competition was still hard at the end of the day. Like they were still asking the girls to do a lot of hard stuff. And so she still got eliminated, and she was just kind of being like, all right, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And Cheire snapped at her, like, how dare you? We invested time and money into you. Now you're going to go back to sleeping on your grandma's mattress or whatever. And you could have been this top model or whatever. So it's like this whole idea of everybody on that show is like, you know, not looking to change the world around them, but to more so escape it and get to this higher up elite class through the modeling industry. And so, and like, even with that, like, I was going to say another thing too is, and if, as long as there is a standard, especially when it comes to the politics of beauty and desirability politics, the whole idea of desirability politics is what someone can access with their beauty under capitalism, you know? So it's understanding that beauty and looking a certain way and being desirable will get you more things in life under a capitalistic system. But as long as there is some, but then the whole thing about top model was, it was about making these, or okay, we're going to make these different types of beauty standards and different types of women. We're going to make that desirable. So then that can be the thing. And I see it even played out more today of like, now you have these different types of women that look different, that are more in the spotlight of, you know, what beauty is, but there still is desirability around that. Whereas you'll have a plus size model that's getting a lot of attention and she's plus size and it's supposed to be, oh, well, representation plus size, but it's still a specific plus size. Now it's like, if you're a plus size model, you have to be shaped a certain way. You can't be plus size and then like you still don't have the right hip ratio to the rest of your body. So it still is, you know, it's a type of plus size. Even when it comes to like colorism and darker skin models, it's okay, we have darker skin models, but they still have to have a perfect body. You can't be, you know, you can't be like, have a fat body or a unbalanced body or whatever. It's still very like, okay, you have to look like a Barbie. So it's, and even if you have black or a black person that's supposed to be the standard of beauty, it's like, well, what's their complexion? What's their hair texture? So as long as we have some form of beauty standard, as long as we're trying to make the desirability more acceptable, or it's still going to find its little nooks and cranny that feed back into Eurocentric beauty standards. And you just end up repeating the standard almost within the standard. So it's kind of like you never, you know, you never reach it when it comes to like trying to have a beauty represented. Along with, you know, how is that beauty used in the overall industry is to sell clothes that, you know, basically from slave labor. So people are making these clothes slave labor, and there's blood diamonds and all this, and you have these gorgeous models to model the clothes and the blood diamonds. And so it's like, regardless, you know, it's a corrupt industry. Even if Cheire did achieve her goal at the end of the day and all those models became top model and she didn't have to be mean about it, the whole industry is still built on an exploitative nature of the fashion industry, of, you know, makeup and everything else. So I didn't mean to go, but it's just, I'm just thinking like multiple political levels. And I don't know, I guess we stayed on this a lot. I did want to put my little 2 cents in because and maybe we could circle back about this, but it just made me think of somebody that when I was a teenager, I was always in an urban fashion show. I was in South DeKalb Mall urban fashion show. I was in a local urban fashion show. We would walk in circles around the rappers. And like, that was the thing, because I wanted that at the time. Like, that's what I saw as like, you know, yeah, like as somebody already in the entertainment industry, I was like, this is what you do. So I have a certain relationship with it because I know what it's like to go to a casting and it's like, oh, you're too short. Oh, and for me, it was always, you're too young. I would audition. I was 17, 18 auditioning for music videos and stuff. And it was always, well, you're not 18 yet. Oh, okay. If you do this, and you got to get your parents to sign this thing and all of that. So it's like, me personally, like, I know what it's like when it's like, they're looking at you, they're looking at your body. They're, you know, trying to tell you, you know, whether they find you attractive or not. And like how, you know, even at a young age, that just really can like get in your head. Like, I would always lie on my anything saying I was 5'4", even though I've always been 5'3", but I just would lie and say I'm 5'4" because I'm like, I gotta be taller and I want to be a model. And so yeah, so I think even to this day, you know, not having perfect skin and all that, it still, you know, hurts me psychologically just because of how hard people were on me about it when I was younger and trying to model. And then just and this is the last thing, I'll move on. But then I also did a contest for comedy back when I was doing stand-up comedy. So I know the whole like being in a contest and like having to go through, you know, getting picked out of a bunch of people, the disappointment when you're not selected, all the behind the scenes stuff. Like I did a contest in 2022 where I was flown out by Warner Brothers Discovery to Miami to participate in a contest in like 2022 that was really supposed to be 2020, but the pandemic happened. And just like the whole ethics around that of like, you know how they just promise you all these things. Like I thought this was my big break, my big shot, and there's like all these different people. And then when I didn't win, it was a disappointment. And then let alone when because we did the contest kind of in pandemic circumstances, but then when I did the actual showcase, I felt like my performance wasn't good enough. And it really weighed on me for like a long time, like years. I was just breaking down because I thought I missed my opportunity to like escape my circumstances and like, you know, and I really thought it was humiliating having to go back and be a server and all. I really felt ashamed. Like I had done so much and, you know, these people flew me out and I still wasn't able to like manifest that into like a big break. So I guess, you know, that's another thing that I think why I kind of connected to the story, because I just know how like that dream can really fuck your head up so bad. Like, you know, like it really, when I tell you, I just could not stop crying for months and months and months because it felt like my whole life's work was to, you know, get to this better place. And it was dangled in front of my face. Like you'll get a cash prize, you'll get access to these people. And then it didn't work out that way. So you think that it's something wrong with you. And that's the game that capitalism and the American dream constantly plays on people. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's a lot in the documentary in itself.
Yeah.
A counter documentary. What about you, Yusuf? What you been chewing on or thinking through as it relates to?
For me, Black History Month, Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton birthday. There's a resurgence of the Panthers. You know, what's going on in Philadelphia? What was it, Paul Burnson or something like that? And it's less about him to me, but it was interesting. You had so many people. This one lady come out, supposed to be Huey P. Newton's niece and his nephew. I mean, people I've never heard of. I mean, I didn't, you know, and there's been many opportunities to try to resurrect the Panthers and by different folks, different formations. This is the first time, like, besides you know, actual members or former members have something to say, and then the confusion around folks, former members who were or who consider themselves veteran members had given him the stamp of approval, and then all of a sudden people pulling back, saying, I don't see you as meeting the standard, whatnot. And it's like, for the life of me, I just don't ever. I mean, I do and I don't. Why we're so fixated on the Black Panther Party? I mean, to the point as if like is there they as if they only existed, they nothing else. And then, you know, when the people began to investigate to some small degree, I don't think it was rocket science to figure this person. Paul doesn't really have a political consciousness. I mean, even when you hear some of his tirade, you know, regurgitating some of the Panthers around internationalism. Like he made one statement. What did he say? You know, we here to protect all oppressed people, blah blah blah. And then, well, you know, if those guys that's gangsters or drug dealers, no, you can have them. For real, you gonna draw the line? Like, who are you to determine their humanity and things as particularly as a revolutionary? So it I mean, actually, I plan on doing a writing, and it stuck out to me because in our previous shows we kind of touched on this a little bit. Like people are trying to bring the Panthers back, and it's a movement. And I use the word movement loosely. That's not coming back. Every generation has to create their own energy. Whatever you might think about the Black Lives Matter movement, at least it was original. It had ties, it had things, but it spoke to its generation, and that's what we need more than anything. And more importantly, if you're going to go back in history and try to remodel yourself after something, don't bring back the same machoism, the same aesthetics, the same mannerism. Like there's nothing unique. There's nothing that's going to move us forward if you're stuck in the past. So yeah, that's my rant.
I wonder if you took notice of like people's reaction in your circles and your circles in general of like, and I'm asking this because like I how like very few of us on the screen and whatever, very few of us like know each other. Like, I had the pleasure of spending time with you and both of y'all, but being in your community, being in my house, I'm being at your house, before we even get into the same organization. And you get to kind of see the character of a person up front outside of what niggas be doing on this camera. But I'm curious if you had like heard some hot takes from different people that maybe even surprise you, like this nigga supposed to be solid and they getting carried away with this bullshit, or this person like I don't know if that makes sense, but I wonder if like how you looked at people's reaction to it.
Not with this per se, but something similar. So actually, one of the former Panther who was caught up in the whether you gave them the stamp of approval or not. I was in Oakland, and I'm actually with other veteran Panthers, and we're riding in a car, and there was a brother who actually passed recently. He called me, and because he was going to be in Oakland, so they was trying to do some organizing. So I put him on the speakerphone, and to your point, I knew of the brother. Social media, whatnot, but I didn't know him. I didn't know him personally, and so being around him, actually, he was working with the white woman on the Green Party ticket. This was during that time. Jill Stein. Jen Stein. No, he was part of her campaign going across the country trying to recruit people and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so when he called in, he's trying to pitch, and he's like, yeah, y'all Conrad, and they are looking at like, who was he? Like I mean, even though we were saying the same party, we wasn't in the same chapter. And like, how can he give you the approval? And it was just interesting. And then to kind of fast forward, I folks are so desperate to stay relevant that they'll attach themselves to anything. And then the defect character was always there, but we bypassed it because we want the opportunity to be connected to something.
Yeah. Cherie, you had any questions or thoughts?
I guess as far as people's reactions, I mean, I feel like I was mainly seeing people on my timeline who were just so hype about like, ooh, Black Panther's coming back. We need some of that at times. Like, and I'm just like, do y'all, I mean, I don't know. It kind of made me mad, but then it's kind of like, I don't know who to take my anger. Cause I'm just like, there's organizations doing work now that have probably been doing work now that are probably super local to you. Like, what is the thing about the Black Panther? Because it's like when I talk about organizing and it's like, no, we need results. We need this. They need all these things. When I talk about, like joining an organization, like, the ones, that people on this platform are a part of it, it's just a starting point, to kind of learn and figure out stuff. And it's so much pushback. But the second you hear people see a Black Panther, it's like, I want to wear my black. I want to get my hat. I want to be, and so it's just like, it's just very interesting to me, like seeing people be like that. And it's just like, why would somebody, I mean, I guess coming back to Yusef's first question, it's like, why would somebody need that to be like, okay, now I want to get active and do something in my community or something. I guess so. That was just interesting. And then I guess, like, I guess one of the best things about the Black Panthers or whatever, or, good, there's a lot of good things, but one of the cool things that I guess is that they had great, they did have the signature style. They did have the things that attracted people, but it's just, I guess it's just, I hate when it's like, because of the movies and just the different, aesthetics from the Beyonce to, all the rappers, throwing on their Black Panther stuff. It's just like, people don't even take the time to think like that's an organization. Like, organizations, maybe join an organization. It's always like, oh, we just got to bring the Black Panthers back. And then I want to do that because it's Black Panthers. And so I just think that aspect of it is just interesting. And then when we talk about the macho stuff, and, Birdsong has a history that's also been brought up about his allegations, about his actions toward women. And so, that also I think is very interesting. I've seen on several platforms people kind of confirm that, he's assaulted, women. So that's also something that I think is interesting. And I'm saying I haven't looked deep into it, but I think that's interesting too. And then I think as well, it kind of also on, I guess, maybe like from a liberal feminism standpoint, it does still put this kind of cloud that I don't like that people are more liberal feminists try to put on the Panthers, as far as like, oh, they're just all a bunch of, women beaters and, chauvinists. That I don't like when that's put on the whole party, because I think it dismisses the women in there that were actively trying to do the work and struggle with the men in their community. But I also, that's a tough conversation, because even, I haven't tried to have it online, but, in person, but online, trying to talk to like different women that, just seem to have a very non-dialectical approach, I feel like, to trying to just study the Panthers in totality, as opposed to just being like, F them, they're all a bunch of rapists and women beaters. But I think Birdsong having that reputation doesn't make it easier as well, of just trying to be like, not to excuse the people that did, commit acts of harm, but to just give it more a dialectical approach. And that is something with future episodes that I think, I would like to see if we can talk about more dialectically, where, the voices of Black women are not ignored, but also there isn't just a covering of history, of like, yeah, like, let's just X that out because of certain individuals. But yeah.
I think to your point, going back to Sophia Bakari, and before her book came out, she wrote an essay critiquing Alice Walker's critique of the Black Panther Party. And the sexism, and where she wasn't trying to, again, dismiss her point, but because, again, like all political overstanding is not equal, and what she was able to do is to enlighten everybody who read it. Like, sexism was not relevant to the party; it was relevant to America, and so by default, we're all going to be sexist. And this living phenomenon is a product of that. And so we brought all the Americanism into the party: sexism, misogynism, et cetera, et cetera. She did not excuse the behavior by no means. She, to your point, she dialectically broke it down from an insider. And I think, again, to your point, and not to try to get into it here, like, there's different versions of feminism, which leads to different political views of how you see things. And actually, next month we'll have a theme around Black women and feminism. Actually, I'd love to, one of them where we can read some excerpt out of that.
Yeah, and then Kathleen Cleaver wrote, I don't know if it was written, like she said it and somebody wrote down the speech that she verbally said, but I was reading similar things from Kathleen Cleaver as well. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, it's good. Yeah, it's a dialogue. But I just want to point that out. But then also adding to the conversation, like, it was interesting. You had people like in my news feed, like, Fred Hampton Jr., chastising the folks in Philadelphia, and and it was just like the split, right? And it's like, well, if Fred doesn't legitimize them, why should I legitimize them? And politically, what makes Fred legit, right? Besides his, and not to say he's not legit, but what organizing, what mechanism, what tools does he have? I mean, because even to the point now, like, to his father, like history is being rewritten. Like his father was not Chairman Fred. His father was deputy chairman. He was deputy chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party. It's like us saying, Al Prentice Bunchy Carter is the minister of defense. No, he was the deputy minister of defense of the time of his assassination. There was only one chairman, Bobby Seale. But because of the emotional attachment that we're having, which is eliminating our ability to be political around these things. Even Fred Hampton Jr., who also took on the title now, he's chairman. Right? I didn't expect everybody to call him chairman, but which is something that you earn in your work. Have you done the work amongst the people? And so this critique is good and necessary, but how do we position ourselves where we're not being positioned to saying we're hating on someone or we just don't like anybody? And again, I think this is where struggle, like our critique is towards advancing a struggle towards an end based upon our liberation from our oppressor.
Yeah, I think culturally, and ironically, what I've been thinking about is I went back into some Claudia Jones, Beyond Containment. But I also remember when Amos Wilson used to say, like, again, like Europeans have the control over the domains of discourse. And so not only what you argue about, but how you argue about it. So people will be like, oh, you're talking white and da 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 da. And he was like, well, that's not acting white. He said, if you want to act white, then you should be like Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan. And I was like, huh? But he's like, they built a whole nation modeled after white people, and they made, and you thought it was this black thing. So it kind of goes to the point. In this passage, Claudia was saying, is there an American Negro culture? The peculiar oppression of the Negro people or their striving for freedom have been expressed in a native way in spirituals, work songs, literature, art, dance. This does not mean that American Negro culture is not a part of American culture generally. And then she goes on to talk about, like, again, like the bourgeois, the petty bourgeois nationalism, and I'm thinking, if I'm tying the conversation around Tyra Banks and then the Paul Burr song, and think about like just the petty bourgeois people who end up being there, most of their goal is to curate experience to sell, right? Whether it's Black Panther, we whatever, whether it's be a top model, or it's get into some revolutionary shit and say you're a revolutionary organizing an organization or whatever. Like, these people using their petty bourgeois position to sell sell a curate experience, exploiting people's ego starvation and sense of wanting to belong somewhere and have an identity, right? And that happened, especially in the US, like that happens all over the goddamn place. Like, whether it be movement space, nonprofit space, entertainment space, or whatever. And what you happen is, like, you're looking at these people's aesthetically and you be like, oh, they're representing the people or their representation, because what you're not saying is their proximity to whiteness, their ability to do some things that you normally see white people do, and it gives you some type of a power. But the structure that they pull you in mirrors the exact structure that you say you're trying to critique. So it's almost like, yeah, you could be in the beauty industry and try to change it, but your finished product is still going to have this idea of this is what beauty means, and it other anything that's not that. And again, that's what happens in, I think, in some of these revolutionary spaces or on paper revolutionary spaces, and yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking about in terms of just not acknowledging the national oppression that all of us have, and then the class stratification or the things that happen in that, like people, it's almost like people get so focused on naming power outside of themselves and outside of the things that they now identify with, and it makes them reject trying to not grapple with power internally, right? So again, while Tyra is doing American Top's model, she don't think that she's perpetuating the same power dynamics that her ass is trying to navigate on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Same thing with Birdsong, like, or whoever these people are, right? Your favorite organization. If one is not able to like grapple with the power dynamics internally, like again, you within a larger cultural context, so you're gonna repeat
it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's gonna sound and look better, and then it's almost like the petty bourgeois people, they intentionally put people around them, especially if they have a particular type of power, to end up, whether they're dependent on them or not. So if Tyra puts you on, you feel loyal to Tyra. So if Tyra ever do some fucked up shit, you're gonna run cover for Tyra, as opposed to be like, yo, what the fuck is this, Tyra? So it's like it's the same thing in all these spaces, and it's really, as I see, is power, and people's ability to critique and deal with power internally that they might even be navigating in this solution or this way out of national oppression as a Black person.
Yeah, like that was so spot on. I think I think it's very telling, because even the people that did have success in Top Model, that they're all now speaking out and be like, well, I had a great experience and she helped me. And there's some people be like, well, that show was not supposed to do that much for you. I still had to find my way, and I did it. You should have done it too. To all the girls that are talking about, their stuff being exploited. So they're like protecting her as a system. But then the same thing that you were saying too about her, it's like her whole thing was, oh, I dealt with so much anti-Blackness for years. You talk about all the anti-Blackness she always dealt with in the modeling industry. And like I said, with her not confronting those contradictions, like she repeated the same anti-Blackness. Like there's another clip. But yeah, I don't want to go back to what I said. But I'm saying there's another clip if we do have extra time, where it's like she's literally calling this Black woman ashy or whatever. And telling her, and she had gorgeous skin or whatever, but you could tell it was colorism. But it's like the very thing that she was saying is that, oh, people were hating me because I was, the Black models, like she was then doing to that girl, so it's very like, yeah, the way people, when it comes to power and the way people just like repeat these systems, like it's insane. Yeah, sorry, but yeah, when you said that, I just wanted to.
Geechee, I have a question for you. You inserted the word revolutionary. What do you think it would take to create more of a standard where it's not just so easy to someone just kind of like appall and others, like, I'm a revolutionary, I'm this, I'm that, just kind of falling out the sky or just crawling out the ground?
Yeah, I think Tongo got this. I only saw a piece of him when he said revolution is damn near pagan at this point. I think we're so Daruba says like stuff like we fighting fights we already won, and I'm like, I don't know if you could say we won some shit. You could probably say we had some clarity around some shit, and niggas was clear. Like for instance, people knew Black capitalism was bullshit a long time ago. So, but I don't think we won the argument or won. E. Franklin Frazier said that Black businesses are engaged in the world of make believe. Like that was very clear and very succinct today. But I don't think like niggas is still trying to be entrepreneur. So I feel like the maturation of people in the U.S., particular those who say they want to do something about their material conditions, I don't think they've matured to the level of what they call to be criticism, self-criticism. Like I've heard someone say like in PE, in the political education, you shouldn't talk about power and structure and stuff like that in organization. It's like I just don't think we have a real space to where there's ideological struggle without niggas having their feelings hurt, or without niggas having to like call you the ops, or like engage in sycophancy or whatever. So I think we would have to get to a place where like niggas know how to struggle ideologically, and contradictions are embraced. I remember I said this many times when I went to Cuba and meeting with the young soldiers, like they say every day, like they just be engaged in struggle. I mean, we didn't get to see them struggle, but I assume like their their skin is a little bit tough. And then even as you said, our sister, it said revolutionaries have to be exposed to revolutionary criticism of the rapier knife. And it's like, I don't even think majority of people can handle those type of struggles before they, quit or leave or frame. Yes, I think we just have to get out of the PR campaigns, and we have to get out of the cult of personality and get into some struggle shit, and being able to, as Diallo used to say, it's like if we can't sanction bad behavior, I don't know what we do, like, other than move on to the next person. If you get the more following, you got 50, 60,000 followers, and you saying some whatever, like that's more important than you actually being able to produce your work. And I in here, like I've met a lot of people who, their handshake don't match their smile. But then I also know a lot of people who know those people or know of those people, and they just don't have the capacity to confront them. They rather just be in the same spaces or whatever. So I just don't think we have like a culture where ideological struggle is even in the culture. I think it's complicitness and don't be so negative, or you don't really understand. Like I don't know. It's all the other things that engage in, like, helps you not engage in ideological struggle. Everything that helps you, engage in PR is. And me and Ricky in here. Me and Ricky wrote this the ignorance is bliss thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like European contraptions that's counterinsurgent that we really believe, like agree to disagree, ignorance is bliss, or whatever. Like things like that is like permeate our minds, and that's just literally how we engage in struggle. So my long way to answer that is, Tonko says revolution, especially in the U.S., is damn near pagan at this point. So.
That's a great answer and a great quote. I think your answer and what we talked about and how you concluded exemplify why we do this show, Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win, and how we open it up, and part of this rebirth of Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win. We're no longer the show itself is affiliated with community movement builders from an ideological standpoint. We stand on our own. Me personally, I'm no longer a member. I think our opportunity to dive deeper into those things. Obviously, we have our own ideological preference that we operate individually, but the ability to have critical dialogue around those things is important. And so I'm excited about where we're going. I'm excited for next month's theme. So Cherie, would you like to kind of get the audience something, a little taste of what you got cooked up for us? You're on mute.
Okay. Sorry, I had to unplug my mic, so I may sound different because I'm using the same cord and now charge my computer. My bad, y'all. But but yeah, we were gonna focus on black radical women and feminism next month and that approach and just like we have different themes for every week, but I think like I said, it was inspired just by, like I said, different conversations, some in line and some in person, of just like and I think me, that's always somewhat identified as a feminist to a degree. I mean, maybe I assume as a teenager I didn't really, but I mean at some point in my life, maybe early 20s, I took on that identity, but I guess it was more from a liberal aspect. And then, more recently, these past 2-3 years, more radical black feminism, and learning about that, Africana womanism, and just and just kind of different topics surrounding that. Some of what I kind of got into earlier when we were talking about the Panthers. And like I said, just kind of like my frustrations around trying to talk about it dialectically with sisters, because it always comes back to like, just feeling like, it kind of always gets flat. And I feel like trying to have these discussions because it feels like you can't talk about the times, or else it feels like, oh, we're trying to shift accountability, or we're just blaming white people for our problems, or we're, but I guess for me, I approach it dialectically, because I think it's better to approach these things dialectically, because you have to understand where people are coming from and what it takes and what that transition looks like if we're going to try to organize for a better future. Like, even, like, if you're a feminist organizer or whatever, if you follow, like the black radical women that came before us, it was not a organizing separate of black men in particular. It was like combining with them. And we just have to find ways to have these conversations and it be more dialectical. But, also not letting, like I said, that macho chauvinism overpower as well. And like just having space for it to be fluid and dialectical. So yeah, so that's all I'll say. But I don't know. I think, did Geechee have a topic that you wanted to get into? I'm sorry, because I know he told me to kind of talk about next week, but I don't know if you had something that you.
Geechee did. He went into his topic.
What topic? I thought we talked about the Panthers. We talked about this. Oh, Claudia Jones. Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad, y'all.
His look is
Listen, I'm the only one talking about black women, and she the only one forgetting black women. God, right.
I feel like they all tie together. My bad.
Claudia knows better. Claudia was right there.
See, folks are not used to this Geechee. Folks are used to the other Geechee, so you got threw off. You ran in so smoothly in it, man. It was no bumps or bruises this time.
Listen, Claudia wrote this in 1946. So
okay,
you know what she was gonna be at.
I think when you talked about it tied back into my topic that I mentally didn't even put it together, because it all just my apologies.
No, Geechee was smooth. He tied into both of our topics. So
yeah, so it tied into both of ours. So that's what it was like. Oh, okay. Is this something? My bad.
Geechee, you gonna close it out, good brother?
Yeah, man. So I there's a couple things that we got coming up this week. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to get some mental health clarity and take care of myself. So I hope y'all do that as well. And we will be doing some traveling coming up. The review crew got a little pop-up somewhere. Come to a town near you. Me, Jared, Renee, and Tume. But other than that, like, that's all I got. What y'all got going for the rest of the week? I'm glad that it's already Thursday tomorrow.
This week is flying. It's making me sad because I start my new job on Monday. I know I'm supposed to be happy about that, so let me stop. But it's just you've gone through a double firing within 2 months. You just kind of be like, another job, another cracker. What am I about to be dealing with now? So it's kind of like, it's bittersweet. Obviously, I'm happy to be able to, have a means to survive in this bull BS capitalism. But at the same time, it's like, because it's like, child, I got to make this one work, because it's looking for job stuff, and it is exhausting. But I'm happy. I mean, I'm in a better place. I took out my 401k early, so I'm not as bankrupt as I thought I was. And I'm able to move. So I'm really excited about that because I want to stay in this expensive building for another year. So I'm able to move. I saw a place that I finally am like, okay, I'm gonna apply to this place. So hopefully I get approved and I'll move into my new apartment and that'll be cool. But yeah, so it's really just the application, finishing that application, preparing for this job. They already sent me my computers and stuff. So I gotta get that going. They got some meeting tomorrow already because they switching up stuff already. I was supposed to have one supervisor like, we're going to put you on another team, so you need to meet with this person tomorrow. I'm like, oh, hell. But, I'm just ready to get a flow of life so I can, because it's hard to create under these circumstances. Like I've now missed out on time to apply for grants and other, creative opportunities just because mentally I just not been in the headspace. So I'm just trying to get a steady so I can still apply myself. But even that grant thing, it really, that's another topic, but it's reminding me so much of like the whole competing aspect of like, trying to be removed from the industry, but still living in an industry of capitalism where it's like, I still technically need money to, produce the things I want to produce. And, so that aspect, it feels like it's America's Next Top grant winner or something. Like it's still something with that, where you feel like you always gotta, if y'all get what I'm saying, where it's like you still, it's different, but it's like it's a one of the consequences of capitalism that is unfortunate, that exhausts me. But yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on in my world.
What you and your cat doing over there this weekend?
Man, we just gonna be chilling, man.
I thought, how you gonna have a cat and a dog? They like each other?
I got 3 dogs and a cat, good bro.
Damn.
That poor cat.
Yeah, the cat is the gangster of the house.
Yeah. What y'all got this going on this weekend?
I'm just chilling, man. I just want to do some writing. That's about it, man. Writing, getting in a good headspace and things. Oh, you a phone call? So.
Yeah. We got a debrief, my guy. Yeah. But listen, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Catch us same place, same time next week. Dare to struggle, dare to win.
Now tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody, because we need y'all popping in the chat again. Like spread the word. We back.
We back, baby.
We outside.
Peace, y'all.